Alright, so let me see. Today we did a drum session for a song called WMD, which was Weapons of Mass Distraction, which I wrote back in 2003, and basically a little finger to the Bush administration. So it's sort of a unique process around here, and I figured I'd take you through some of my guitar gear and some of the recording gear and sort of the way that we're making this record happen, because like everybody, I'm sort of making a record on a budget, and I've used my money investing in equipment instead of investing in like a weekend of recording time and so on and so forth. So first of all, we're going to pan over to the drum kit here. This is the Roland TD6 V-drum kit, which I'm using to trigger the Drum Kit from Hell drum samples, which are amazing. And what's cool about that is it just affords so much flexibility in arrangement and stuff after the fact. What we just did is Ian sat down and played a bunch of different takes, and we sort of cut in on a couple of different sections to really hone it, and then I'm going to take it back and probably do some editing and piece some things together, so the results will be really polished and still be benefiting from you know, the MIDI cutting together, but it doesn't sound like it's MIDI. It sounds really pretty gutsy. So while he was doing that, I was running through my guitar rig to play along and so on and so forth, which I can show you here too. Right now I have the speaker cabinet mic'd upstairs in its own little ISO booth, so to speak, sort of an organic ISO booth. It's this tiny room upstairs. And I've got my guitar rack down here and some of my pedal stuff. So when we come around, I can show you the rack and sort of take that through. So first I have the pedal board here. Signal goes from the guitar into the Morley volume pedal, into the Bad Horsey, to the XP100, and then I'm using a true bypass box that allows me to put an effects loop in so that I can have the Univibe in there without it sort of muddying the sound up, because the Univibe is sort of a noisy pedal. So when I switch this in and out, that's enabling the effects loop, so when it's off, it's not affecting the guitar signal. And then through the full drive 2 overdrive pedal, sort of trying to go through this quickly here. And then I've got the Ernie Ball volume pedal, which I'm using as an expression pedal, hooked up to the ground control MIDI switching device. So from the ground control, we'll go over to the rack. So the ground control is controlling patch changes on the triaxis and the Digitech GSP 2101 Artist. And then there are a couple of things where the triaxis is controlling certain functions on the power amp too. So it's this complex beast, different things. Right now my main lead setting, I'm using the lead to yellow channel, which is the Mark II C+ sound on the triaxis, running through a slight EQ on the Digitech with a little bit of delay, and then I'm using the deep extend function on the power amp to sort of give it a little bit of guts through there. So the result, I just closed my session here, but open this back up so you can hear a little bit of what the guitar sounds like through the monitors. While I'm waiting for that to load, actually we can come over here, I can show you the rack gear that we're running through. So upstairs I'm miking the cabinet with an SM57 Shure microphone, sort of the classic microphone for guitars. That's running into the Vintech X73i preamp, which is a monster preamp. It sounds very, very similar to the old Neve consoles. It's designed sort of with the Neve 1073 in mind. So I'm running in there, and then out to the drummer compressor, I'm doing just a very, very mild compression on the guitar signal, and that runs into the analog to digital converter, the Apogee Rosetta AD, which then runs digital out into the Digio 2, which allows me to run Pro Tools here. And then from Pro Tools down into the computer, which is the bottom piece in the left rack here. That's actually a computer which I bought from Sweetwater. It's a little rocket ship they have there, which is great. So anyway, so once I'm in there, we run down to Pro Tools. This is triggering Reason, it doesn't need to. And here we have our MIDI drum signal right here. That's all the MIDI data that was recorded. And then I have my scratch guitar, which is sort of taking the place of our lead vocal, allowing us to keep the sections together, and so on and so forth. It's lovely when I'm showing this and all these errors are popping up. But in any event, if I turn this up a little bit, this is the guitar sound of the mic upstairs. So it's pretty metal, you got a lot of that going on. And other than that, you can probably catch a couple of little posters up and things that I try to keep inspired. So I've got Miles Davis and Spinal Tap. There's probably more Spinal Tap quoting going on than anything else musical, which is sort of a shame, I guess. Dream Theater, I've got the U2 record, Coltrane, Herbie Hancock, and then Jeff Beck record, Truth, of course Jimi Hendrix, Axis Bold as Love, Weird Al Yankovic, and then a couple of my little geek things. I got my John Petrucci autograph over there, my Vive autograph, and so on and so forth. So I'll cut it, and we can go upstairs, take a look at the guitar cabinet, and show you how that's mic'd, and then we'll go from there. So we'll cut there. So the next process in the signal chain, you can hear there's a totally different acoustic in here, and I sort of left it spare because I liked the way the guitar sounded in here. So I have the SM57 slightly off the center of the cone and just slightly off axis. This is actually a little bit straighter than I often use it, but it really does sound good. This is one of the vertical recto Mesa Boogie cabinets. This is a 212 cabinet, two 12-inch speakers with Celestion Vintage 30 to the 75-watt versions. And right now, I discovered I got a little bit more guts when I mic'd the bottom speaker cabinet instead of the top one. I mic'd the top one for a long time, and I decided to change that around. So I've got basically a 50-foot microphone cable running down into the console, and a 50-foot speaker cable, which anybody knows, you try to keep the length of your speaker cable short, but it was a concession to keeping the guitars isolated, and it was a choice between running a long instrument cable or running a long speaker cable. Plugging it in this way, I still felt like the cabinet had some guts when I turned it on, so that's what I decided to do instead of having my rack up here. So, and as I said, the room has sort of a unique character here. It's a long, narrow, bizarre room in my house, but it really does sound great. I've gotten really good results from miking the guitars in here, so that's sort of why I decided to do that. So, part of why I wanted to do this was to take everybody through what the real signal chain is, because you often see just the guitar rig and the total, depending on how a guitar rig is mic'd, it's going to sound dramatically different, down to the location of the microphone, what type of microphone is used, and then of course all the outboard gear and all that stuff. So I really tried to cover everything from the studio end and also from the guitar end. And also the last thing that I probably won't get into today is the fact that, once you get into your mix, the tones of the guitars change to sort of fit into the space that's allotted by your given mix. What we're working on today is sort of a very heavy tune. It's all 7-string because it was just too metal for 6 strings. And there's not going to be a whole lot of room in that mix, so I'm going to have to brighten the 7-string guitars a bit more than I might under normal circumstances in order for them to cut through and be present. So I've got sort of a fine line to ride when I do that mix to make sure that the guitars aren't getting too bright to the point that they feel brittle and so on and so forth, but they need to be bright enough to speak over these massive sounding drums and all this stuff. So that's sort of the challenge. Anyway, so I'm hoping that we can take you through some more of the process a little bit later on. I'm going to have Ian go down and play on the TD6 kit, triggering those drum samples so you can hear a little bit of what's going on there. Alright, so we'll move on back downstairs. Alright?
Hello, my name is Ian Fry, and I'm here playing on the Roland V drum kit for Ethan Meixsell's new record. We're sampling the drum kit from Hell, so I'm paying an homage to the Meshuggah drummer.
Nice.
With that little lick there. So hope you like it. Hope you like the record, and we'll see you on tour.
There you go. Why don't you play a little bit, man? Nice, man.